Let me know when I'm on, John. Oh, there, I must be on.
You are all yours, sir. Go ahead.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Doug Schwartz. I'm the founder of Drain Master and inventor of some other products that are related to the RV industry. My wife and I started full-timing in 1991 and full-time for 10 years, all of the 90s. And the first time I dumped holding tanks on an RV, I said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. So it started out in a 20-year career now of RV waste management. And when I started it, it was the first time I dumped the holding tanks, had a problem with it. And so my goal for the customer became to empty the holding tanks and make it an uneventful experience. That also then dovetailed into the engineering criteria behind designing the system. And the first thing is, obviously, it's got to be completely sanitary. There can't be any kind of a mess on the ground or any of that sort of thing. It needs to be completely reliable and repeatable time after time. It's got to be simple for you to do, not setting up and, you know, hooking up here and doing all the stuff that we have done. It also needs to be environmentally safe, so we're not making a mess on the ground and leaving a mess. And it has to be long lasting as a product itself. So I started with looking at the materials and the equipment that was out there at the time. And of course, there's bayonet fittings that seem to be a very weak spot, along with the hose itself. And so I started looking at different industries to see in their minds what do they use to transfer liquids. And lo and behold, they have a product. It looks like this. It's called a cam lock. And the way it works is quite simple. You simply put the male into the female part and cam these two guys back, and you have a secure, watertight or liquid-tight connection. These are the exact fittings, design fittings, that are used when you see a big 18-wheeler offloading fuel at a gas station. They're called cam lock, and this is another example. This is the cam lock that fits on our hose, on the end of the hose. And then this unit is the female cam lock, and it actually glues on in place of the bayonet fitting on your coach. So that solved a really big problem. The other thing that's interesting is in industry, the hose end has the male on it, and the female is on the vehicle. In the RV industry, the male fitting, the male bayonet is on the RV, and the female is on the hose. And that's why we've had trouble for 20 years finding storage space to put away the sewer hose, because the female fitting is bigger than the male fitting by an order of magnitude. Go figure. Learn a lot of little crazy things. So at any rate, we have developed an actual sewer hose over a number of years. Somebody may recall there was one called Polyshoot. That was the very early version of the hose, and the idea was to make sure that the inside of the hose was as smooth as possible, and there was no wire in it. Most hoses had physical wire inside them, and you rub it on the ground, you get a leak. This hose is a 4-to-1 compression ratio. The helical, as you can see here, is on the outside. The webbing for the hose is on the inside. So you can scrape this on the ground for the next 25 years, and chances of ever getting through to where the liquid flows is slim to none. We also incorporated a nozzle, and this nozzle, better turn it around here, has a handle on it. And so all you need to remember as an RVer is when this handle is in this position, you can carry it around, you can do anything you want. But when it's in this position, the nozzle needs to be in the sewer. That's all you have to remember. When it's in the sewer, the nozzle can be up. Before you pull it out, Put it down, lift it out of the sewer. You don't get any drips, and you won't make a mess on the ground. The nozzles worked out very, very well over the years, and we're the only company that has an actual shut-off nozzle where it belongs. We also have a clear view fitting behind, and we put it here as opposed to at the RV, and the reason for that is you want to make sure everything's cleaned out of your hose. So when you look at this and you're running clean water, you truly are clean all the way. That's the basis for our system, is to use the cam lock with the nozzle and the excellent sewer hose. From there, over time, we've developed another entity in this product, which made perfect sense. And that is to have your sewer hose connected permanently to your coach via the cam lock, of course, at all times. So you never disconnect this and connect it under normal use. And to that end, we designed, and I don't have one with me, they're too big, is a storage container that goes underneath the RV, and it's mounted up underneath typically where your sewer outlet is at this point. And what we do is we put a hole in the side of the box back underneath. After mounting the box, the cam lock sits like this to the wall, and then you put the sewer hose in and in through out the hole and into the cam lock. And then what you do is you simply take the hose and it goes down into the back of the enclosure and comes back out, and the nozzle sits just inside the door. Now when you need to empty your holding tanks, you simply open the door, grab the nozzle, pull it out, put it in the sewer. When you're happy it's wedged in there properly, you open the lever. You go back and you dump your holding tanks. We didn't change any of the methodology that you use to dump your holding tanks, black first, gray second. And because the system is so secure, you don't have to run a little test of, gray water before you give it a Hail Mary and let the black go, because it's all there and it's all secure. Some people do that kind of thing. I know there's thousands of ways people empty holding tanks. But that's the ultimate, in our minds, the ultimate method to dump your holding tanks. It's clean, it's sanitary, and it works every time. And we've got a building clientele that absolutely love it. At this juncture, are there any questions regarding Waste Master and the semi-permanent or permanent connection system?
How long is the hose, Doug?
The hose is actually, it's collapsed, it's 5 feet long, and fully extended, it's 20 feet long. We also have an extension kit. So if you get, and most RVs don't, well, we sell a lot of them and mostly they're not used, but they're great insurance if you get into that special place that you need it. And to do that, what you have to do then is you have to disconnect this, your sewer hose, back out through the hole, take that hose and set it down. You take your extension hose back through in the enclosure, back through, cam it down, and then we have a double one of these guys that's this way and this way, right? So there's one on this end and one on that end, and you would cam the extension into one end and your sewer hose with your nozzle on it into the other end, and now you keep going. You go 40 feet. And if you're more than 40 feet away, you need to move.
Yeah.
You make setup for RVs with 2 bathrooms?
Uh-huh.
We have
one. Oh, boy. Does that mean you have 2 sewer outlets?
Yes. Doug did ours in April. Mm-hmm. We've got a 311 bunkhouse. So we have the 2 boxes. We generally, when we get into camp, set up the main area one with the gray and the black. When we want to dump the other black one, we take it out, we turn that one off, take it out of the sewer, set it in an area where we're not going to contaminate anything, but it's never dirty anyway. And then just pull the other one out, plug it in, empty it, and then when we're done, we put it right back in. we used to take an hour to an hour and a half to set up our sewer lines if we were staying any length of time. It now takes us less than 5 minutes to set up the initial one, and probably 3 to 4 minutes when we're going to dump. It's the best thing we've ever done.
So you just switch them back and forth at the coach?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no, we have the 2 boxes, so.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
With both of our enclosures, we didn't do that for you, did we?
Yeah, we did with the 311 bunkhouse, where we tried to connect the 2 black tanks, and unfortunately they have the one in the middle. It was April 12th or something like that this year.
Okay. Yeah. Now we do so many. It's actually a good thing, but you know, I'm right there, spot on the day of, and the day after, and a week later, I've lost everything. As far as remembering what we were doing. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm glad it's working out for you.
We love it.
Well, we have found just everybody that we've done, we've never had anybody come back and say, you know, I don't think it was worth the money. This isn't working. You know, we can't do everybody. We've disappointed more people because there's limitations when the coach is already built that we just can't work around, or it would be so expensive it's not worth doing. But we continue to work with Lippert to try and get them to get the OEMs to start buying it and putting it on at the factory, which is where it needs to be put on.
So, Doug, what is the, you've talked about the expense, but what is the price?
Well, it depends. If you want pricing, please go to our website. You can look at all the products and what their cost is, and our labor rate over and above is $125 an hour. And we try and do it in as short a time as possible and get the job done. We try not to overextend anything. We realize it's a lot of money, especially for just dumping your holding tanks. But at the same time, we expect that our customers will, first time they dump the holding tanks, they'll care less how much it costs that day.
And what is the website to look it up on?
It's drainmaster.com.
Thank you.
And where are you located?
We're in Hollister, California.
Oh, okay.
Which is, if you're not from around here, San Jose is 50 miles north. Gilroy is 25 miles south of San Jose, and we're 12, 14 miles from Gilroy, southeast.
So if we decide to do this, then we would have to bring our black tanks with us to you.
I would think it would be a good idea, but I'd like a mentor.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Another RV trip. That works for me.
Yeah, most of our customers can't afford us dumping their holding tanks. It's really expensive. I think we charge about $500 to dump the holding tanks. But you have to remember, when you're coming to us, you don't have our system. Otherwise, we do it for you for free.
Hey, Doug, in the chat box, I don't know if you can see it on your phone. Somebody's asking, how do you incorporate a flush king for doing a reverse flush?
A flush tank?
A flush king, where you fill your tank up to reverse flush it from your...
Yeah, you don't need it. So we don't have a place to hook it up. That's all old school stuff. That's it. When you've got the hose connected at all times, the gray water, what we always try and do, and some coaches you can't, but what we always try and do is when we open up the belly pan, we look at the plumbing underneath, and then we re-engineer the whole thing, and we put 3-inch piping in the gray tanks as well as on the black tank. And the reason for that is when you have an 1.5-inch hole And everybody knows that you dump your black first, your gray second, so you can clean out your sewer hose. Well, think about that. When you dump it through an 1.5 inch hole into a 3-inch hole, you're not flushing much of anything but the very bottom of the hose. So the bigger hose gets that rush of water down through the whole system and flushes it out. It's enclosed with the nozzle. When you shut it off, there's no odors because it is shut off. So the Flush King, while it's probably an okay thing to reverse flush stuff, I never like plumbing things to go backwards. It's designed to have a slope on it for a reason, and it should be water in the top, and when you open the valve, it should go out the bottom and shouldn't go back the other way.
Yeah, I'm the one who asked the question. The purpose of the Flush King is to put water into the black tank to flush out all the crud that's in the tank. So it has to do with flushing the hoses.
Right, but we have found if you use lots of water, and that this is year after year, I talk to people about this. If you use the bathroom, flush the toilet, fill the bowl after you flush the toilet, fill the bowl again before, and then flush it, and you do that each time you use the toilet, you're never going to have a black tank problem to begin with, because it's all about the quantity of water in the holding tank. Most people get stingy. They don't want to use the water because they want to stay someplace a little longer, or they just don't want to go out and dump the holding tanks. But the reality is, the more water in there, the better off you are.
John Gross, last time I was talking to him, he mentioned that he got the electric valves installed on his. How long did it take you guys to install those, and how do you get the switches put inside of the RV?
Oh, well, that's always the trick, but we manage it. Does anybody have any questions about the hose and that part of it at this point? It doesn't sound like it. This is the electronic dump valve. It's a 3-inch gate valve, and to open it, it's faster than that, but it's on a power supply, so it doesn't have quite the oomph that it normally does. And when you push the button on it, and this is what the button looks like. Now this is the one for the outside, and we also have a set of switches for the inside of the coach for if you get black and gray. We can also do four panels if needed. So to install these, they install they need to be up off of the deck at least this high and up, and then you would turn it around, obviously, to go down the other way. And that's how they mount in underneath the coach. So we can always get a little tilt to them. And the reason for that is when you open the valve, there's an immediate back pressure from the water coming out of the tank and the air in the hose system pushing its way down the sewer hose into the sewer. And during that period of time, the seals that are in here, and this is the seal, are lip seals, and when the gate is in the fully open position, there is a slight gap between those seals, and water can go up in there. And it comes right back out if it's tilted, no harm, no foul. If you mount it this way, you will build up water in there over time, and it will become a problem. So that's how we mount the valve itself. This has a red light, as you can see here, when it's in the open position. When it's closed, it's green. And that's always a controversy, right? For us, green means that you're all set to drive away. Red means don't go anyplace because you got a problem with your holding tanks. we've had that conversation numerous times with customers. So I bring it up. The valve also has a manual override, which is this key right here. And whoops, sorry. And it simply goes in here and you turn it counterclockwise to open it and clockwise to close it. And we always advise people when they're at the shop to give this a try, usually just so you can get a feel for the clutch itself, as there is a clutch inside the valve. And it also comes with 20 feet of cabling. Now to get the switches to the inside of the coach, we have to figure out a place where some other run has gone. And this is an RJ11 plug. It's relatively small. And I caution people about this all the time, but the reality is we haven't had one that we couldn't get up in the coach. It may not go exactly where the customer would like to have the switch, but at least it's inside the coach. And then usually they're pretty convenient for them.
Interesting.
Do we have any other questions on that?
Go ahead.
Okay, I put in drainmasters.com and have come up with everything from emergency plumbers to shotguns.
Take plural out and call it one, drain master, not master.
Thank you.
If anybody's interested, we have a couple of other products that I'd be happy to talk to you about. One is a 360 siphon that goes on the vent stack on the roof of your coach. And the other one, some of you may even have them. They're called HEPBOs. They're a waterless trap that you replace the P-traps in your coach with. Anybody has any interest in knowing something about that or got a question about it, I'm happy to answer them for you.
I do know with those, that new P-trap, so to speak, we had one in our laundry room. And when I pulled out our drain hose, it reversed that. And
really?
It was, yeah, our drain hose, when it was a long hose and it went down, through it all the way. And we didn't realize it. And when I pulled the hose out, that inside of it, it actually pulled it out. And we didn't realize. Yeah, the inside, it pulled it outward. It was, wow. Yeah. And we didn't realize it until we ran a load of laundry. And since it was out, it didn't drain correctly. And it went all over in our garage. And getting that pushed back in there was a pain in the rump. But it eventually got down in there. But it was one that we had to work at to get it in there.
Did you have the nozzle closed when you pulled out the hose? Did you have our system on the coach?
No. This was in just our laundry room for the one that's inside of the wall.
You said you were pulling out a hose. What?
For our washer and dryer.
Yeah, but we need
where the drain of our washer and dryer went in the wall. There's one of those in there.
Wow, that's unusual. That takes about 15 PSI to reverse this thing.
Yeah, it grabbed a hold of it and it pulled it and reversed that thing out of there. And I eventually got the hose back in there and was able to push it back in there right. But we didn't realize it until it put about 10 gallons of water in our garage.
Yeah, that's unusual.
I'd never even heard of it being done. I'd heard of it reversing, but I'd never heard of it staying that way.
Yeah, because I know in all the testing on this, that water will come out of a P-trap, a standard P-trap, at about 3 PSI, 3.5 PSI. It'll start leaking gases through it and it'll bubble. And eventually, if you had enough pressure, it obviously comes out and goes the opposite direction. But this is 14 plus PSI to get on the reverse of it, to get it to turn itself inside out. That's amazing. We do a fair number of installs of these too at the shop, because most of your under sink situations with P-traps in them take up a lot of space. Mm-hmm. And with this unit, it can be run horizontally or it can be run vertically. So you can literally, if you're piping, depending on the RV, if your piping is over coming up against the wall, you can put this in vertically and or horizontally right up. So now you've got an L out of the sink like this. You've just got an L coming out of the sink rather than the down and back up again, so you can store more stuff. They also, if you use these, you do not need to put those vents. There's a little vent that goes up underneath your sink. So if the system needs water or needs air, it can pull it down through, and you can get rid of that, because if the system needs air, it just pulls it right through the HEFO. So if you were doing a retrofit or building your own RV or something, you definitely get rid of those parts. These are also used in houses, by the way, in apartments. Any place that uses a regular P-trap can use these, and we sell a lot of them to builders. They just make the job a whole lot simpler.
Interesting.
Yeah, the product is actually made in Great Britain, and we're coming out with a new one that's just a slightly bit smaller, and the threading is a little bit more US thread friendly and all that sort of thing. Nothing that anybody doesn't really have.
And what's that other thing, the siphon thing? What does it do?
Oh, this is called the 360 siphon. This goes on your roof of your RV, where the vent pipe for your holding tanks comes out of the roof. And most of the ones that come with RVs, more and more manufacturers are putting this on now. But at one point, they come up and they had like a T, and it was supposed to create a venturi, and they'd screw it on. And then if you were sitting someplace and the wind wasn't blowing through that T, it would blow air down and you'd get a smell and an odor in your coach. This unit is set up like an aircraft wing underneath, so it pulls, it lifts. So any air that goes through here is pulling a positive pressure up the vent stack, meaning that you won't have odors in the coach caused by foul odor or fresh air putting pressure on your holding tanks. Very simple device, but it works 100%. And a lot of the people that have these on, they did an experiment 3 or 4 years ago, and a number of people do not use holding tank additives any longer. They've got 360s on the roof, they don't get odors in the coach, and they don't use anything.
Are those pretty easy to install?
Yeah, actually they are. There's a little funnel looking affair in here, and that's so when it goes in, when you set this down on the roof, it funnels it in, so you can't get any water in between. If it rained, you wouldn't get any water down there. And then this one has got the caulking. You just put it down over. You need 2 inches is a standard height that manufacturers are supposed to have sticking up on top of the roof. The pipe has to be 2 inches above the roof. So this fits right down over without having to cut the pipe. But you know, the average person that's mechanically can do it without any trouble.
Might have to get one of those.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
You've got those on your website, correct? Yes, we do.
Okay. Yeah. We also have one other product that I don't have one here called Snap Pad. And those they go around your leveling feet on your coach, and they're made out of tire crumb. And well, we got more and more people buying them all the time.
Write that down. Snap pad.
Okay.
They're just a great product with a very high level of satisfaction. But mostly we specialize in waste management itself. So.
Well, great. Anyone else got any more questions for Doug? No, it doesn't sound like it.
Okay, then I'd invite anybody and everybody to give our office a call if you have any questions. We don't have an automated phone system. We have two ladies in the office that are very knowledgeable on products and everything that we do, and they're more than happy to talk to you. We're not afraid to talk to our customers. If they're really busy and leave a message, one of our main rules is to get back as soon as you possibly can. So we try not to leave people hanging.
And I have to speak to your customer service. It's excellent. Once we left you, we went up to Henderson's and ended up there for an extended length of time, and we had to be pumped out. Do you remember the changing?
Yes, now I remember.
We called Doug and said, we've got this problem. We can't get this thing to work. And he sent us a brand new item. It was an add-on, but he was there, Johnny, on the spot. And he's changed how he makes them now.
Yes. We've made sure that was resolved immediately. Live and learn every day.
Cool.
Well, I hope this has been productive for everybody.
I think so. It's great to see them. Now I really want to get them there. See, this is the bad part about rallies. I spend too much money.
Yeah. Well, if you're mechanically inclined, Jeret, you can certainly do it yourself.
Yeah, but I'm lazy.
But
prepare to take time, because it does take time.
And Jeret, if you want a picture of the boxes that the hose fits in, I can send you a picture and you can post it.
Yeah, we should do that. Definitely. What we don't have a lot of is pictures of people using the system in park environments, because all the pictures we take are when you're at the shop. So anything you could send us that's got, you know, kind of a background of being in an RV spot would be really cool. I think if anything, that's what we lack more than anything.
Okay.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for coming out, Doug, and talking to everybody today. Hopefully we'll see if we can get some more of your systems out there and installed in our RVs.
Yes, and to that end, if anybody is wanting to do an install, just call the office and the girls will be able to help you schedule a time convenient for you to come in. We try and be as flexible as possible. We don't do installs every day, but we do a half a dozen a month type thing at this point. So we just need to schedule you in.
Cool. Great. Well, that would work out really good.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. It's kind of strange not being able to see anybody, just talking at the phone.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming out.